That's not just the sound of that first sip of Morning Joe. It's the sound of someone shopping for a car on Carvana from the comfort of home.
That's a good blend.
It's time to take it easy, like answering some easy questions to get pre-qualified for a car in minutes.
Talk about starting the morning right.
Just like customizing your terms so your car fits your budget. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to experience car shopping the way it should be. Convenient, comfortable. Ah.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.
Our motivation, attitudes, and success are driven by our environment, the world in which we live and work. And that's a fact you've probably heard before. It's proven that our thought processes even replicate our physical environment. And if you sit in a room with an expansive, high ceiling, you're more likely to be creative during that time. Whereas if you sit at a desk in a small, cramped room, you are much less likely to be creative, but perhaps better at doing menial tasks. But it's not just your physical environment. We also replicate the feeling of those around us. If you surround yourself with stressed people, you will be more stressed. If you live with chilled out, happy people, you'll have much higher chances of being chilled out and happy. And if you read any amount of self-help, you'll probably be very aware that you are the result of the 5 people you spend the most time with, as they say. However, there are some really interesting nuances within this to be mindful of. There's, of course, certainly lots of toxic traits in people that you may live with or work with that could hold you back and be a limit on your happiness. People who make everything a fight and try to bring you down, or people that have no self-awareness. Those who are unable to celebrate other people's success or blame other people for their failures. However, today I wanted to discuss the non-obvious toxic traits that no one's really looking for, but actually still hold us back in life just as much. So we're going to learn how to identify these traits so we can spend more time being our best selves, having the freedom to work on the thing, bring us our own definition of success and happiness, and to keep ourselves grounded in reality. And as it's still New Year's-ish, and you're probably working on building better habits and cutting out the problems in our life, this could be a really important boost to make 2024 the year that you want it to be. Hello and welcome back to the Growth Mindset Podcast with me, Sam Webster Harris. As always, diving into the psychology of self-improvement, and today's masterclass is on how to learn to be more ourselves. And we're going to do that by learning to identify very subtle and obvious traits in our peers that hold us back and might manipulate our minds to prevent us from achieving the success and happiness that most suits us. So firstly, we can dive into a story about issues of unambitious peers and when they can block us, even when they seem to have a lot of the hallmarks of success that we're looking for. So I love skiing, and when I ski, I can forget life. I can focus on increasing my skill purely for my own enjoyment. And I'm pretty good at skiing, and I'd like to think I'm pretty good at enjoying myself. And you might think that if I ski with complete newbies who can barely ski at all down a mountain, I might get bored. But actually, I love skiing with newbies. They'll go really slowly on gentle slopes, and that gives me plenty of chances to work on my techniques and my style. I can balance on one leg the whole way down a piste, or I can only turn it in one direction, or I'll go down the whole way backwards, or trying to jump off all the little bumps the whole time and do tricks or something on the side of the piste. And that's really hard to do when you're going fast. So if you're spending time with people who are slow, it's really enjoyable. Also, if you're hanging out with learners, they'll ask you questions and you have to answer them. And that kind of helps you understand like the fundamental physics of what you're actually doing while skiing. And it kind of increases your insights to do more challenging things and helps build your real knowledge base to become a better skier. So actually, skiing with people who are terrible at skiing makes me a better skier and I have fun. Equally, if I go skiing with really good professional peoples, I love that as well. People who are much better than me. I end up like crashing half the time, falling off the piste, falling on the piste, and just trying to keep up with them and hopefully not kill myself or anyone else in the process. And I also get to ask them for advice and learn about what they're doing. And again, it's overwhelming, but it helps me learn and I have lots of fun. But probably the best thing that I enjoy the most is just skiing with people who are like my main ski mates who are just like me. They're kind of my level of ability. They have my interests, my mindset. They kind of want to go do the same things that I want to do. They want to improve. They want to do scary things. We can egg on each other to like try different challenges, go on jumps, go off piste. And it can be really inspiring and just a lot of fun to hang out the whole time. I never feel like I'm holding them back, or it never feels like anyone's showing off or waiting around. But then who is it then that I don't like to ski with? Well, people who are good skiers, but really unambitious. So people who are like my level of skiing, but they just don't want to improve at all. And that's the worst type of person I could ski with, because they'll go down the piste quite fast, and that's all they do. The skiing will be too fast for me to play and learn new things. It'll be too slow to push on my edges, and I won't be able to learn anything. And I'll just be kind of like skiing straight downhill, relatively-ish fast for a whole week with people who are kind of like my level, and I won't learn anything. And I won't have time to like do jumps or do fun things. I'll just kind of be going like from point A to point B quite fast, and it's just sort of like really mundane. Now, obviously, it's not the end of the world. And in the context of skiing with your friends, it's not like they have the evil intentions. And if you're a lazy-minded, quite good skier, that's fine. But whatever you're doing in life, you want to be with kind of people that sort of help you push yourself and be more of yourself. Like whether you're doing football or the friends that you spend time with or the people that you work with. If you're in a group of people that are all kind of relatively confident but just coast and have no ambition, like that can really hold you back in life. If you have a growth mindset, then being lazy shouldn't be a trait associated with you. Sure, you don't need to hustle in every aspect of your life, and maybe you're the sort of person that wants to go on holiday and ski and not try hard, and that's fine. But most areas of your life should be something that you're willing to work on and improve, whether as a partner or in your work or your hobbies. Being mediocre is settling into like the fixed mindset mundanity, and it infects your attitude towards everything. So as well as people that block you from having a growth mindset attitude, it's just crucial to stay away from people that stop you from being yourself. Because ultimately, like when I'm skiing, I am going to be myself in the context of most types of skiers. Regardless, I'm not the result actually of the people that I spend time skiing with. I'm only held back by the few people that stop me from being myself. If I'm with new skiers, I still get to be myself and improve. If I'm with amazing skiers, I still get to be myself and improve. It's only a few type of people that actually stop me from improving. So absolutely focusing on who you spend time with in terms of saying that you're going to be the result of them isn't actually completely true. Focusing on the types of people that you want to be like is okay, but actually you maybe want to stay away from the type of people that prevent you from being yourself. And that's more important in my book, because besides skiing, it could be the same with money. I have friends that aren't interested in money, and I have friends who are obsessed with money. I have friends who want to start businesses and friends that want to be artists. Like, they're all inspiring people to be around, and they don't actually hold me back from my own work or my own financial situation. Like, the only people I want to be careful of are actually the people who follow just very traditional life paths of taking a normal career ladder and get stuck with a mortgage that they can only afford by staying in their career ladder. And if they try to offer me a job doing the same thing and recommend me to buy a house, that's not the life path I want to be influenced by. And that's the sort of advice and culture that would stop me from being myself. I mean, to be fair, these people are still lovely people, but as long as they don't stop me from doing my thing and they can inspire me in other ways, it doesn't matter. So if you're really focused on self-improvement and you read those books, it can push you to be like, I must like ignore all of my current friends and create this new tribe of amazing, wonderful people I aspire to be like. And like, it's not true. You don't need 5 perfect friends around you the whole time that is going to like make you manifest your wonderfulness. You just need people that allow you to be yourself and like help push you in that way. And sure, there are some people you should spend time with that will inspire you and help you to go in that direction, but it's not a requirement the entire time for people eligible to allow to be your friends. And as Lao Tzu said, when you're content to simply be yourself and you don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. Okay, so this now nicely leads into the next section around stories and the helpful and unhelpful stories we pick up from our social circle and peers. So, helpful and unhelpful stories. When we take what we've learned so far, it can also apply in our work and aspirations. We are confined by any limitations that we believe in, whether it is a physical limit or a mental limit, but limitations are basically stories that we believe in due to our experience and the expectations of our peers and society. And it could also be useful to think smaller. If you haven't heard of Sahil or Lavinja, he has a really good book, and he started building Gumroad in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is in the heart of startups and VC land, and he was out to build the next billion-dollar empire for creators. He wanted to be like the next Uber, the next Airbnb, etc. And sure, he started a business that was making money. Revenue grew, but he struggled to achieve like the level of growth required to be a unicorn, a billion-dollar company, and he was feeling like a failure. He was ready to quit completely, and he had to lay off most of his staff. But he managed to stabilize Gumroad's modest revenue, and he kept things ticking over whilst he moved to Arizona to just de-stress from the crazy, hectic lifestyle of constantly grinding and just hustling for more growth and chasing a bigger and bigger company. And when he reached Arizona, he found that like the culture was really different. The dream of the good life meant something very different to the dream in Silicon Valley. People wanted work-life balance. They wanted flexible work with good pay. And over some time, the realization that Sahil had was that he already had this dream. So in fact, spending time with people that helped lower his aspiration ceiling of income and raising his ceiling of freedom changed his mindsets. It restored his energy to work on the business again. He enjoyed putting in work to grow a lifestyle business, and it became really successful. And it isn't a billion-dollar startup that's IPOing and making lots of people millionaires, but he is actually now making millions every year, and he can do whatever the hell he wants. He doesn't work too hard. And by simply changing some of the dynamics of his aspirations, he's achieved a much better definition of success and happiness that works for him. And I think it's really important to recognize the limitations of what can make you happy or what you expect will make you happy. And the aspirations of your peers can be a really dangerous thing if your goal is contentment. It can drive you to spend years in stress where being yourself is actually on hold until after you've achieved something that is what everyone else says is going to be a good goal to have, even though they've never done it and they just think it's good as well. As they say, a fish doesn't know it's in water, and you just don't see the culture that you're in. It's hard to notice your aspirations being controlled by others until you spend time somewhere else. Like Sahil just thought he was doing the most sensible thing until he went to Arizona. Or I've been in the West most of my life, but I just spent 3 months in Nepal living there. And yeah, it was just like a very different experience for my whole mind. And I'm way more grateful for lots of stuff. And my aspirations have definitely changed. I really do want more freedom. Just like Sahil, I'm like, yeah, I run a podcast. I make money running a podcast. I can do whatever I want when I want. Maybe I'll just put a bit more time into the podcast and not do all these other hustles that stress me out and stop me from being able to go fun places. And just whilst we're on the subject of limitations of happiness, like slight sidetrack, I do find like there generally isn't that much benefit in learning the art of things like fine wine or fine coffee or whiskey, etc. As in, I quite like geeking out and understanding like what makes something different and why people think it's so much quality. But if you spend a lot of your own time and money so that you can then no longer enjoy the things that aren't really expensive, like you now just have to spend even more money and often more time to find the things that are now able to make you happy, whereas before you were happy without them. So you're basically creating new limitations on what makes you happy, which doesn't really add to your life. Sure, of course, if you are naturally obsessed about something and you've always loved whiskey or coffee and you just sort of can't help yourself geeking out, like go for it, be yourself. The point of this podcast is to help you be yourself, not to like stop you from being yourself. Don't worry. But if it wasn't something you already had an affinity for, I wouldn't spend extra time trying to make yourself less happy, basically. Anyway, some important ways to like reality check ourselves and keep ourselves grounded is to just try and have quite a few different friends with different lifestyles. And I find that really helps me. Like I said earlier, like people that don't care about money, people that want to be artists, and people that actually are bankers and like all they care about is money. Like it's really nice to have like different weird people that just help you sort of understand what a taste of what your life could be like and push you in different ways, and also remind you like whatever it is that you're doing, like the parts of that that are absurd that you can be grateful for, and the parts of that that you might want to change. Like I do really like talking to people who find my lifestyle really weird. I love talking to old people. I love talking to young people who just ask you such different questions. And sure, you don't need to be constantly surrounded by them your entire time, but it's just great to have a check-in every now and then, especially with the sorts of people who will ask you difficult questions, but they ask questions that help you to be more yourself rather than stop you from being yourself. One of my favorite conversations last year was with my nan's sister, and she reminded me that like life is really short. And yeah, I don't have a second backup life where I can eventually get round to things that I really want to do, hopefully sometime in the future. and that if I want to go to Nepal, I should just go and do it because of like, when am I going to have the chance if I just take a job, etc. And that was really nice because she spent her life living within the walls of what she thought was acceptable and really regretted it. And so she's always like inspired to see me like actually having fun and living the best life I can. And so it's really nice to talk to her. And it reminds me of like what I should be grateful for and like how lucky I am. So when summarizing this episode and the kind of lessons that you've learned, some useful questions you might want to ask yourself to reflect on if you are really doing the types of behaviors that would help you be more yourself is, am I putting my energy directly into the thing that I want to do, or am I postponing that until after I've done this current project that isn't actually the thing I want to do? And I think it's really important to talk about the word energy because we only have so much energy in the day, just like we only have so much time in our life. And if we're putting our skills, our time and our energy into things that aren't the things we actually want to do, our life really is just on hold. And we really want to feel like we are on a path towards the thing that we're doing. And so like, it's a good question to ask yourself and think about where your energy goes every day. The next question is there a faster way to reach the lifestyle that I want? And it's just good to second guess ourselves and actually think about if we just sort of putting ourselves within the walls of like, I have to do this long 2-year path before I can actually go and do this thing. And sometimes there are just much easier ways that we can just go and do it straight away without having to wait for things. Like I could wait until my podcast has 4 times more downloads before I allow myself to just be a full-time podcaster. But that might take years. It might actually be impossible to do whilst I'm not a full-time podcaster. So I may as well just do it straight away. Another question is, who are my idols and why are they my idols? Perhaps even more importantly, could I have better idols? Because who are the people you follow on Instagram? Who are your favorite people to like learn from? And what is it that they're doing with their lives? Why do you think you're watching or listening to them so much? And are they going to push you to be the kind of person you want to be? Because in self-help, we talk so much about the fact that we're the result of the 5 people we spend the most time with. But our idols are people we spend a lot of time with. If you can listen to someone's back catalogue of 500 podcasts and their books or like their YouTube, etc., that's like a lot of time you're spending with someone and they are kind of affecting you. So it's worth thinking of the kinds of people that push you to be more yourself and push you to do the things that really excite you, as opposed to give you standard society style aspirations that actually maybe don't suit you. Because sure, Elon Musk has done some really cool things for the world, but if you look at how much he works, like I don't think most people actually want to do that with their life because if they basically put their entire life on hold and they're just stressed the entire time. And it's like, it's not actually a nice lifestyle being Elon Musk, even if you get to be like the richest person on earth. So it's worth working out why someone's your idols and maybe just taking a bit of that as opposed to all of it. And then final question is, think of 5 people you know who are your 5 favorite but very different people to you. They're a different lifestyle, different stage of life, just different in some way. And you have to like them all for some reason, like because they're really happy or because they're really good at working or because they've always got like something creative on the go. Whatever it is, like there has to be something about them that you like as well. And then ask yourself what you think they would tell you. And you can directly go and ask them yourself, or you can just sort of use this as a thinking model whenever you're journaling or just thinking about your life and how you want it to go. And it just really helps you sort of get a bit more perspective, get out of your own normal ways and patterns of thinking to take on different attitudes and think of different sorts of answers than you would have otherwise. And you can also do this with GPT. You can even ask GPT to behave like someone that's famous and then ask them questions. And that's really cool. So that's a fun one for you if you want to try it. And on that, that is the end of the podcast. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any feedback, do please add a comment on Spotify or YouTube or send me an email at growthmindsetpodcast@gmail.com. We've had some really useful comments lately. We've had some people talking about the kinds of things that they like in the episodes or not. And we have been changing stuff. So that's been great. Please keep it coming. I think I'm actually going to start doing some Ask Me Anythings in the coming months. So if you do have any questions on like psychology, mindset, life, hit me with them. We'll be making a bit of a question bank to go through. So thanks for that. And if you do feel like for some reason giving me a good rating because this was helpful for you or anything, that would be super appreciated. It's a podcast. We always love that. It helps us grow. I may have mentioned that I'm going full-time on the whole podcasting thing. So anything that helps it grow, very much appreciated. Please, you're the best. And yes, as always, don't put off enjoyment and doing the things that make you happy in life. There's no point waiting until some arbitrary goal is met because by the time you've met it, you'll have had another arbitrary goal. So you may as well work out the challenges that are stopping you from being happy now and be happier. Sounds simple. I know it's not easy, but basically, yeah, be kind to yourself. And whilst you're at it, be kind to someone else too. Thank you.